I think you can think about the new things we're doing in Thief 2 along sort of two major areas. One is I think we're going to end up with a lot tighter design based on our experiences with Thief 1. The second thing that is going to be new about Thief 2 is we're going to improve the technology of the engine some.
New power-ups, new creatures, a larger number of things that really affect the gameplay.
Hopefully we'll be able to expand a little bit. Although we don't want to change the nature of sound in Thief. We don't want to have, like, disco tracks in the background.
We put together a really great team for Thief 2. We've got some of the original team back. The lead designer, Tim Stallmock, was the lead designer on Thief. Randy Smith who's a senior designer on Thief 2, was also one of the designers on Thief. We've also got Sarah Varelli, who's a longtime Looking Glass person, who was a designer on Thief. We've added a bunch of new folks, too. We've got Emil Pagliarulo, who was the editor-in-chief at Adrenaline Vault. A person we've worked with a whole lot, who's done a lot of voice acting for us, in fact. She's a really talented designer, too, Terry Brocious. Another new designer is Mike Krzyzanowski, who's a longtime game player, and he's come up with some really fresh, exciting new ideas. Rich Carlson, ZDIM to the Quake community out there. Another really talented designer Rich brought along with him from Ion Storm is Ika. Ika's working on some really exciting levels, and his work's really turning out terrific. We've also got a designer away from Reality Bites, who he had worked on Dark Vengeance in the past, Raphael Brown. And we've got a little bit of extra assistance from Mike Ryan, who worked on the original Thief and was also a designer on System Shock 2.
One big difference between Thief and a lot of action games is that it's got a lot of story to it. An experience that tells a story but that doesn't take away from the action. At no given time are we pulling you out of the game. You get some information in your briefing and some information in cutscenes. You hear some of it like overheard in conversations that we stage. All told, I think I counted up one day like 7 or 8 like individual little ways that we send out little tiny packets of story at you.
Gotta stop jumping at nothing. Ah!
The game concept in Thief was developed in stages. We actually started off with a completely different game, Dark Camelot, where it was this sort of Arthurian setting, but Modred was the hero, King Arthur was this, corrupt despot, and there was this sort of like swashbuckling fight of the underdog against the oppressor.
One of the biggest challenges in working with Thief 2's fiction is trying to get all the mission designs well integrated into the plot. When we worked on the Thief plot, it was plot first and then missions came out of that. In this case, we tried to think of really good missions first, and then there's a little bit of retrofitting work in terms of getting the plot to work well around the missions.
All the time that you're finding out the story in Thief, you're also playing the game. It's integrated.
I'm working on a level called Song of the Caverns, and I really can't say too much more about it because it's secret.
I guess one of the things that I enjoy most about designing Thief levels and working on Thief is trying to find multiple ways for a player to solve any given problem.
Who's noising about then?
There are 3 main artists. There is me, who's lead artist.
Mark's such a fanatic. When he took his vacation, he went to Europe this year and took a camera along with him and took thousands of pictures.
Then there's Daniel Thrawn, who is working on the cutscenes, doing recurring roles that he did in Thief 1, and he's having Jen Herbata to help him.
She's doing both 3D modeling and some artwork in support of Dan's work on the cutscenes.
It's a lot more interesting to do artwork for cutscenes where you really have a feeling for the character.
I am a collector, Mr. Garrett, but there are some items that are not available for purchase. They must be acquired using other means.
Matt Gilpin right now is working on, he's the only artist on Thief Gold.
Probably the best thing for Thief is it really gives a mood, like a feeling. You have a very good sense of environment.
Oh, well. Hey!
Karen Wolf is helping on the briefings.
Karen is very talented, and she worked on Flight 3. For our programming team on Thief 2, we've got Pat McElhadden, who's been a long-time Looking Glass person. He's worked on a lot of our sort of sound technology. We've also got Bill Farquhar, who's actually done a lot of the special effects for our flight simulator line. A new hire, Alex Duran, he's doing a lot of the sort of basic technology with the installer and the build system. A game engine is a lot more than just a renderer. It's the real sum of all the components in the engine, the AI system, the object system, the renderer, the sound. And that's one of the things that makes the Thief engine so outstanding is the sum total of all of those parts really takes the engine beyond what most other engines can do.
Most people think that playtesting is fun and they get to play video games all day. And in that, they're right. And it's really fun and you get to play video games all day. But a playtester really also has to be really meticulous and just do tedious work that gets to be no fun at all.
I can read the Wheel of Fate. Will Thief Gold ship on Monday? It's a heart, so things are looking good, I must say.
Playtesting allows people that don't have any idea how the game works to give their feedback and say, I don't understand this. You guys have been working on this way too long. You know the plot and the story, and it makes sense to you because you made it up, but it doesn't make sense to us.
The audio department is 3 people. It's myself, a guy named Kamal, and a guy named Ramin. It's nice to have them on board. Everyone splits duties and does everything. Thief is very interesting sound-wise because it's one of the first games that really uses sound as a central part of the gameplay.
Hey, what was that noise? Is that you? Gotta stop jumping it.
You work hard on the sound, and it's nice to have a game that really shows it off. In Thief 2, hopefully, we'll be able to expand a little bit. Although we don't want to change the nature of sound in Thief. We don't want to have, disco tracks in the background because it's not appropriate. But hopefully we'll be able to do some more involved things.
So after Thief 2, obviously there's talk about Thief 3. There's talk about other sorts of games. Looking Glass, of course, is also famous aside from action-adventure games for fantasy role-playing games. And Thief would be a really natural fit for that. Some games have the kind of really hit potential where you start seeing the action figure or the comic book. At Looking Glass, we have some tremendous art talent and some great sculptors, great artists, guys who've done comic books before. And I'd like Thief to be the kind of game where you can go down to your local comic book store and pick up the Garrett and Victoria action figures. That'd be great.
Someone asked me what I do. It's we make little explosion sounds and we write little stupid songs for computer games and you get paid for it. Well, people go, geez, how do I get that job?
Working at Looking Glass is like working at a college dorm.
You can work any hours you want as long as it's 18 a day. So,
Working at Looking Glass is a little bit like being stuck on a long bus ride with 50 of your brothers.
I haven't actually worked anywhere else in corporate America except when I was temping as a secretary. It's very different.